Hey there. I am surprisingly good at not getting infinite rank. I don't want to brag or anything, but I've been playing this game since beta, almost when it came out, and every single season I have managed to not hit infinite rank. I nearly have a full collection. I also play with a lot of the top dog meta decks, but yet I still can't make it. So we're going to break down what I'm doing wrong, kind of lay out some of the mistakes that I've found myself making over and over and over again so that maybe, just maybe, you guys have an opportunity to learn from my mistakes, not make them on ladder, and hit infinite rank, because really at the end of the day most people want to get there, right? I also have some things that I see a lot of people talking online as a barrier for not reaching infinite, or something that's just like preventing them from ranking up higher, that I think are kind of myths, and I'm going to break that down here in a second. But we're going to start with what I am doing wrong. And while we're doing this, check out these Berryverse variants. They are unreal. Andy C from the Berryverse made them. Oh my gosh, I absolutely adore them. I've been sharing them on the Twitters. So they are going to be rolling away while we talk about getting to infinite. What I'm doing wrong. So what am I doing wrong? Well, I'm complacent, right? Or you could even say overconfident. A lot of the times I go into games and I think I drew the nuts and I'm going to beat my opponent no matter what they have in their hand. But it just turns out that this is a 12 card deck game, and that most times your opponent probably also drew the nuts, or they drew most of what they wanted to do. And if their deck kind of counters mine, or just somewhat has more power output than mine, and I don't have the available counters, then I'm probably going to lose. But I don't believe that. And in my head, I think I'm going to win, and I just smash the snap button and I proceed to an untimely loss. I lose. I lose big. I snap hard, I lose big, and that's the game of Marvel Snap. It's fun. I actually quite enjoy it, because when you do win, the high is high, and when you lose, the low is low. But that's okay. You can't get too bummed out about it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I definitely snap hard. I snap a little bit too hard. I get snap crazy. If I'm slightly winning, I'll snap. If I have a good hand, I'll snap. And if my opponent snaps, I snap. It's not a good recipe for ranking up, okay? But it's fun. It's fun. I like to snap. I love to click the button and hear the guy go, "Oh, snap," because I'm like, yeah, now we're playing Marvel Snap. Wow, I've said snap many times. But, it's just a thing. It's a thing about Marvel Snap. You got to be cautious with your snapping. I think a lot of other content creators preach this, and I totally believe it. It's that you should manage your cubes efficiently. You got to retreat when it's not so great, or actually just retreat when it's, not so good. Even if it's like slightly good, you want always those optimal plays available. And if they're not, then just retreat and just go into the next one until you roll that really good combo, snap, get those 8 cubes. That's what's going to climb you in the ladder. Not those maybes, not those 50-50s. I hope I win 8 cubes and I hope I don't lose 8 cubes like I frequently run into. Those plays are what going to make you fall down the ranks before you even know it, or at least just kind of like stay right in the middle. Okay, so snapping, cube management, retreating on time, these are all vital things that you gotta make sure that you're being aware of, and you gotta assess what your opponent's trying to do too. I think that's a huge thing, right? You gotta read the opponent's deck and if they are going to play those next cards. Now, you can't always do that in every single situation. Maybe somebody's running something a little bit off meta that you didn't expect, and then bam, it just surprises you. But I think those are few and far between. A lot of people tend to play the same decks, so you can kind of anticipate what's coming, and if it's not looking good, then get out. And don't just be like me and like want to see your opponent's cool play, because like sometimes I'm just like, well, this looks neat. I haven't seen this combination before. Let's see them smack me in the face for probably 4 cubes, because I won't snap, but they did. That's not a good thing to do. Don't let that one happen if you're trying to reach infinite. That's a great tip right there. Don't see the game through if you know you're gonna lose. I also experiment with a wide variety of decks, okay? So don't do that. All right. Maybe people just watching this and not actually listening to what I'm saying think that that's a good idea because I didn't specify that you shouldn't, but you shouldn't. Okay. See, I'm under the belief that if you pilot one deck on repeat, you are going to be much better off in Marvel Snap. Repetition is going to allow you to study the inner workings of that deck and know which locations are bad for you, what kind of decks your opponents are playing that's bad for that deck. You're just going to be so much more adept at reading the situation and getting out when it matters and snapping when it does. When you experiment with a wide variety of decks, it's very fun. You get to play with all the cards, and that's how I enjoy the game. But ultimately, when you pilot those decks and you're going into those sticky situations, it's hard to know if you're going to have the power output that's going to beat your opponent. And in a lot of scenarios, like I do, I just stick in because I'm like, I hope this cool deck works, and then it doesn't, and I lose cubes. But I also overthink my plays. I run out of time a lot in Snap. I think like some people might think I'm roping, but I'm just straight up thinking of like 20 different possibilities when I just shouldn't. If it's not clear that I'm going to win the game, or I don't have an epic play on that turn 6 or something like that, then it's probably smarter to leave and lose 2. Right? Rather than stay in and hope and win 8. So don't overthink the plays too much. If your opponent has kind of a set thing that they're doing, just kind of anticipate that and then just more assess your own play. It's really healthy, and it's going to definitely take you places if you can analyze your opponent's plays and like find the correct path. You know they're going to do that one play. That's great. But if you stress over like 20 different possibilities and then just end up staying in with a suboptimal play because you didn't think about your own play in the small window of time in that turn that you had, well, you're probably in a real tough spot. So those are some of the things that I do wrong, okay? But I also want to go over some not so impactful things that a lot of people talk about in the interwebs for not getting to infinite, those barriers, those myths, I want to say. Let's get to them. All right, so here are the things that I think have a minimal impact in your ability to reach infinite. And I'm using my own experiences as an example why. So my collection, right? These are on the field here on the screen are the cards that I am missing, the cards that I currently do not own. There's not a lot. There's 3, 6, 9, 11. I'm missing 11 cards, and 4 just came out in the last month, and we know Series 5 is impossible to get. So that's pretty much all I'm missing. And yet, I haven't hit infinite. Actually, in fact, in October, I had a full collection and I didn't hit infinite. You want to know the closest time that I had to hitting infinite? It was like when I was in Series 2. Back in I think it was August, I got to rank 85 or 90. That was the closest that I've been. And my collection wasn't even close to full. Mind you, a lot of people didn't have full collections at that time, but I really, really don't believe this is a valid excuse because time after time after time, some of the pro players have proven that decks with, pool 1, pool 2 cards reach infinite. It's very doable. A lot of those cards are good. You can't just look at Series 1 and 2 and say, well, those cards are trash because I got them sooner. No, Onslaught, Odin, a few of those cards, Professor X, who knows? There's a bunch of really good cards tucked away there, and you can build some awesome decks. Mind you, I know that when you get to Series 3, Series 4, whatever else, you're going to get more options. And I don't want to belittle that. Having more options makes it a lot easier to rank up because you can kind of adapt to the meta whenever it's presented in your face, right? If there's a certain deck that is beating everyone up, but there's a Series 4 or 5 card that's available that would really help out, but then you can't really get it because it takes so much money, so much time. I understand that. And I think that does play a small part, but it is not the all-encompassing part of why you cannot reach infinite. Even if you're matched up against that top dog meta deck, right, that Silver Surfer or whatever else was going on back in the day, there were still ways to overcome it. It's not like nobody hits infinite. Many players hit infinite. Not too many. I think it's 5%, but there's still people out there that are reaching infinite, so they're beating those decks. They're finding ways, and maybe you just got to adapt and play those decks. So what I'm getting at is it's not just your collection. You can make it work. There's a lot of other factors that are going to help, but the collection is a small part. But there's other things we have to consider, okay? So another thing is game knowledge. You can't just say well, you just don't know the game or something like that. That's why you're not hitting infinite. You don't know the mechanics, the interactions. You're not studying the meta decks. Dude, I keep up with this game every single day. I do not hit infinite. I just don't. There's other factors that I think are more important to not hitting infinite than game knowledge. I know a lot of the game, but just not getting there. And on top of that is deck list optimization, right? Speaking about game knowledge, if I want to just throw that out the window, just focus on the games themselves and net deck some amazing deck that a content creator said was awesome or whatever seems to be at the top, high win rates, whoever, doesn't matter. I'm going to try that deck out. I still don't hit infinite. I don't pilot it as well as them. There's other factors, which we're going to get to in a second here, okay? But then lastly is opponents, bots, infinite rank players, Series 5 decks, few and far between, and I still don't hit infinite. Bots can read your hands and make crazy plays, but they can also throw games, let me tell you. So you're probably farming cubes off of them more often than not, more often than you probably think. So I feel like that either balances out or you're benefiting, right? Infinite rank players, this totally sucks. I hope they change this soon. But basically, when you're in like rank 80 or 90, you actually have a chance to queue into infinite rank players. I don't know what that's about, but that should not happen. The only thing I can say to that is it does not happen frequently. Not frequently enough to impact your overall ability to hit infinite, right? And maybe you recognize the name and you just retreat, right? Something like that. But that's definitely not the only reason why you're not hitting infinite, right? And then Series 5 decks, kind of playing on to the collection, like just complaining that Series 5 decks are the top of the meta. There's like the Dark Hawks, it used to be the Zubu with the Absorbing Man, the Spider-Man, whatever. Like, okay, that is a really good deck. But here's like another counter argument that I would have to that is a lot of these new cards, these Series 5 cards, dude, how often do you actually see them? I know people complain about them because they can be really toxic to match up every now and then, but I have yet to see Shanna the She-Devil. She's not very good, mind you. Shadow King, Sauron. I only just saw Sauron the other day, okay? And then like a select few others. Darkhawk, I've maybe matched up against that card like 5 to 10 times. And it very well could be my rank. Maybe there's just a bunch of Darkhawk players at the top, like 80 to 100, and that's totally valid, and I understand that. I'm only speaking from my own experiences. I don't see these new cards. Not enough people own them. I even see a lot of content creators polls about like, do you own this card or not? And it's like always 90% of people don't. So maybe that correlates to rank. Maybe it's like that 10% that do are in the higher ranks. I don't know. Or they're whales. I don't know. Is it all mixed together? I think maybe it is, but in the most minimalistic way of impacting your ability to get to infinite. I think there's just other things like I was talking about earlier about my gameplay and a few others that I'm going to get to right now that have a bigger impact. So the lessons I've learned, and these are the things that I really think are going to help you rank up, okay? So number one is don't stress over your rank. Look at this. Look at this right now, okay? It's shiny. You can get this card back. I don't even know if it's like in the season pass or if it's like in the early rank rewards, but you can get it, but now it has a gold trim. Yeah, that's a sick flex. I won't lie. I want that. That's freaking cool. But does it really matter, dude? Like it's just a card. It's a cosmetic. Do you care about like your shop that much? Like you're probably using your gold on credits to get more cards, right? More new cards. You're probably not too many people using the gold in the shop to get cosmetics. Why do you care about this cosmetic so much? Just to hit like infinite? Like I don't know. It is the end game goal. That's like trying to complete the game, right? You want to hit infinite season over season, and I understand that for the accomplishment, which I think is great. But don't stress over it. Oh my gosh, don't throw away the last week of the month every week just like to grind rank just to get to infinite, and you're like losing your health and all that other crazy stuff. It's just not worth it, dude. It's just not worth it. Just enjoy your time playing the game, and if you get to infinite, then that's great. That's awesome for you, but you don't need to get there. Not many do. Also, master one deck. It's going to make you get more cubes, I believe. If you know the inner workings of that deck, I already touched on this, but if you know the inner workings, then you're going to be much better off. I think if you pick a good deck that you enjoy playing and you just pilot that one like crazy in the ladder, it's going to do you well. And then the biggest thing, I saved it for last here. Okay, this is what I believe it takes the most to get to infinite. This is the number one factor, whatever you want to call it, if you want to get that golden bordered card back. Time. Lots and lots of time. You see, it takes a lot of games to hit infinite. I think people say like in the thousands, right? Just to get to infinite. People can crush that in a couple of days. Other people don't have that kind of time. I do not. I have a full-time job. I have family responsibilities. I simply do not have the time to get to infinite, even if I had a good win ratio, right? Even if I was a better player. It takes so much time. You also reset your rank down 30 ranks every season. That's a big blow. That's like, I don't know, that's like a week of grinding for me at least if I'm lucky. So you just have to be prepared to invest a lot of time. And whether that time is spent, studying the game, building decks, experimenting with decks that you like, and then focusing on one that you want to learn, it's still going to just take a lot of time getting those cubes. Mind you, people can do it really quickly at the same time. We saw Spessy and Derek JN, they speed ran to Infinite in like a day or something. I think it took them like 12 hours though. That's still a little bit insane to me. But that's just the nature of the beast. That's how the ranked rewards work. And if you do get to Infinite, the benefit is you only drop 30 ranks and you'll be at 70, and it takes less time moving forward, which is actually really nice. It's one of the reasons I want to get to Infinite if at all ever possible. But yeah, if you want to get to Infinite, it's going to take you a lot of time. Don't make mistakes. Don't play silly like I do. And don't blame other things, except try to learn from your mistakes when you're playing games. That can be a really healthy way to get better at the game. Because I'm not very good. I'll admit it. I don't make the optimal play every single time I play. In fact, I make a lot of misplays, especially when I'm on stream and I'm trying to do two things at once. But even in my own time, I just face palm like no tomorrow, like every third game probably. But you know what? I have a good time and I laugh it off. And I probably should be a little bit more patient, I suppose, with my cubes and my snapping. I should hold back a little bit more, but you can't hold me back. It's the Berryverse. We're coming to get you. We got variants now. It's all over. If you want to join the Berryverse, I got the link in the description below. That's where you can talk to other Infinite players because they're chilling in there talking about strategy, decks, sharing, and all that good stuff. It's awesome. And then subscribe. If you're not already subscribed, we're going to be doing all kinds of videos. I got some great stuff planned, and maybe, just maybe, you can be a part of the Berryverse journey to Infinite, because we will get there someday. But I have to learn from my mistakes first, and right now I'm having too much fun making them. All right, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.